know it. In your own lives, what you're going to find as you go through this process, that there are so many things that have happened in your life, and those are very important, because it's one thing for someone to teach you and try to induce something new. It's another thing to have already gone through it so you can look back in retrospect and have that and be like, yes, I've seen that before. Yes, I can draw upon that. I can draw upon this. It's all about putting it together like Miyagi did with the wax on, wax off and all that stuff. He had learned it, he just didn't know it yet. Same thing here. A lot of you, after the healing begins now, started experiencing synchronicity, you call it. Things just started happening way too often that it had to be more than coincidence. You started getting messages when you needed them, right? And if you were upset, you started getting hate mail. All these things started happening. Some people didn't know how to handle that. Am I dreaming this whole reality? Another thing people will say is, life is just a reflection of yourself. You're just bouncing your own mind off everything back onto yourself. Well, yes and no. In a situation like tonight, where I was led to that girl, that wouldn't have been me bouncing my thoughts onto myself off of life. That was the larger mind speaking directly to me and to her. The larger scale of reality. People think that they're reflecting their thoughts off of life back onto themselves because it synchronizes itself around them. But that is how it sustains itself. Do you understand that? Just like you sustain every part of your body. Yes, it can handle all of you at once. You handle every single cell in your body. Do you know how complex the cellular processes are for each cell? And you do all that. You manage all of that. So what is the creative spirit then? Do you get it yet? It's it's the spirit, man, animating everything. Every cell in your body and every person and earth and everything up and up and up. That's creation. It's real. Yes, every animal knows it. Listen, maybe it's time that superior humans catch up to all the other animals. I understand there's this negative cancerous consciousness. Now, I already told you that if your intentions are of love, it will override it. Okay? The more pure your thoughts are as far as the intent, following the flow of the creative force, moving with it, the more things will be positive. But why do I tell you to get out into nature? Why is that a big one? Well, you've got to understand something. Animals have not been hit with fluoride, aspartame, indoctrination into rigid religious belief systems. They're not hit with television, subliminal messages in magazines. They didn't get vaccinated. They have a more active connection to the creative spirit, especially the vegetarian animals. The predators are kind of in between. But the vegetarian ones, they're of the spirit. So when you get out into nature, there is so much life out there. See, humans are like the cancerous tissue. So you're all connected to this cancerous consciousness in one way or another. You just are, okay? Otherwise, I mean, look how many people there are. It's like a tumor. If you want to see how Earth sees humans on its time scale, because remember, your life is very short to the Earth. You know, you look at an atom and it's vibrating too fast for you to even be able to observe. You look at a galaxy with dark energy around it, which is like the scalar larger analog to an atom, and it's motionless to you. It stands still to you. And your life, time moves just right, doesn't it? So Earth is on a different time scale than you for its own conscious awareness. So the way Earth would look at you, imagine taking one picture of the demographics of people on Earth every 5 years since the beginning of mankind, and using each picture as one frame in a 30 frame per second video. That would be 150 years per second. And watch that video of the spread of mankind. That's how Earth sees you. It's like cancerous infection. Kind of. It's like scarlet fever. What's scarlet fever? Well, you have a certain type of bacteria called Streptococcus pyogenes, and it's normal flora inside of you. But sometimes if your bacterial flora goes out of balance or other things that happen that decrease its competition for nutrients, it can overgrow, it can flourish, it can become infective because now it's out competing everything and it's growing too much. And then you get strep throat. You don't always have to contract strep throat from somebody else. It's in you already. But it's not that bacteria that gives you scarlet fever. So how do you get scarlet fever? Well, that's when a virus infects the bacteria. And when a virus infects the bacteria, they call it a phage. All right, that's the name for a virus that infects a bacteria. And what happens? The virus inserts its DNA, and then the enzymes in the bacteria read that DNA, and it transcribes a new genetic sequence, which is spliced into the bacteria's DNA, into its genetic code, and inserted into the bacteria's genetic code. And this new gene sequence transcribes a protein toxin, a poison, that affects you. It's no longer the same strain of bacteria. What do you think they've been doing with you over time? You hear about this, right? Even in religion, the corruption of DNA. Well, how do you think they did that? Other than viruses. A virus isn't alive, people. It's non-metabolizing. And look at it. I mean, either it's single-stranded or double-stranded RNA or DNA, and it just happens to have the perfect vector for infection, a protein capsid that just bonds to the cell receptor, and then it penetrates and injects its genetic material. And it's like a program, because a virus can't hurt you by itself. It can't reproduce by itself. It's not alive. Your enzymes have to read it and create what it tells you to create. If they don't do that, it can't hurt you. It's nanotechnology. See, a microbiology student would be like, well, our professor says that viruses come from the rainforest often because it has a similar temperature to a human's body temperature. Yeah, okay. Come on, people, it's technology, all right? There's no reason for a virus to exist in nature. Think about it. What are the odds of that? That you'd have the correct codons to be a viable fragment of DNA or RNA, and a delivery vector, protein capsid around it? Come on. And look at HIV. With AIDS, in your immune system, it'd be good to talk about the immune system right now, because that kind of goes along with what's going on Earth. For your white blood cells, anyway, you have a system. You have different types of white blood cells. You've got your polymorphonucleocytes. Most of you don't care about this, but in case there's those physiology students out there that need to hear the technical stuff, because I'm talking about the spirit, and I won't be qualified to you unless I know what you know. Yes, I know what those are, the eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, okay, and then you've got your monomorphs, and those are the T and Bs, and the monocytes, which you call a macrophage when it's in the body because it's mobile. The macrophage is kind of like the cop, all right? It's always going around your body sampling stuff, looking for anything that it would consider to be an antigen or something that it sees as foreign to the body. So if it finds something like a bacteria that's foreign, that's infective, it will engulf it. That's why they call it a phagocytical cell, P-H-A-G-O. Phag means to engulf, to eat. Cyte means, well, cell. So it's a phagocyte. And so it will engulf it and then display its material, the contents of the bacteria, on its cell wall. Then it takes a little trip into, say, a lymph node. There you have many white blood cells already there that, in fact, you're born with, I guess, up to like 500,000